All right, I think we're on we just did number 10. It was a tough question. These are really very manipulative problems, by the way. You may see patterns in them, but the bottom line, it's a lot of manipulation in the problem. And 11 also looks like a manipulation problem for me. I realize a lot of times to solve for what? We're solving for x, by the way. So I want to go to the whiteboard again. And we just finished, the problem before. And we're doing 11 now. And I'll write it down for you. And the problem for me is like really a penmanship problem. That's why I prefer to type, by the way. So it's really a squared, c squared. And then it's the 1 plus x, sorry about that, squared. And then it's the minus b squared, d squared, a lot of parameters here, which makes it far more difficult to deal with. And 1 minus x squared is equal to 0. And what I want to do is kind of rewrite it like I did before, by the way. And to do that, I'm going to square those things out. All right, so you get a squared, c squared, and this will give you 1 plus 2x plus x squared, and we're trying to solve for x, by the way, minus b squared, d squared. This is going to be 1, minus 2x plus x squared equals 0. All right? So what I want to do is kind of get things into x squareds, x's, and then a constant. All right? Remember the parameters are a, b, c, and d. So I'm going to write the coefficient on x squared first. All right? And what's that coefficient going to be? Let's take a look at it. I have the coefficient here is going to be looking at it would be a squared, c squared. That's from the first guy. And then you'd have minus b squared, d squared. All right? That's the coefficient on the square term. Now let's go for the linear term. All right? So there's going to be a coefficient on an x there as well. And kind of looking at it, I notice there's going to be 2 on each thing. And that would be a squared, c squared, and then it's going to be minus b squared, d squared. Let me see. Oh, no, it's plus. Sorry about that. Let me just take a look again. I got the 2, a squared, c squared, and, minus b squared, d squared times minus 2 is plus 2, so that looks okay. Now let's put the constant down. What's that going to be? Plus, I'll put in parentheses for you. It's going to be a squared, c squared, and then minus b squared, d squared. And this is equal to 0. All right, what I'm going to do now is use the quadratic formula. And there's other ways to do it, by the way, but I'm just going to use quadratic formula. And so why would you do that? I'm just thinking that, maybe factoring these things, yeah, you could factor it too, by the way, but these letters are all over the place. I'm just having trouble with all the letters. So let's write this down. X equals, I'll use a quadratic formula. Let's see, twice the coefficient on this a squared, c squared, minus b squared, d squared. But it's a difference of perfect squares, by the way. Let's go to the top. It's going to be opposite of the coefficient on a linear term. So 2, a squared, c squared, plus b squared, d squared, plus or minus. Here comes my trouble. Always is. I have to square that. It's going to be 4. And then you get a squared, c squared, plus b squared, d squared, minus 4 times the coefficient of the square term, a squared, c squared, minus b squared, d squared. It's even hard to copy that. And then the last term, the constant term is going to be a squared, c squared, minus b squared, d squared. Well, isn't that convenient? Let's take a look at this over here. Oh, by the way, I forgot to do something. All right. So I'm going to write this down. X equals. And I'm going to write then, minus 2, a squared, c squared, plus b squared, d squared. I get a 2 in the bottom. That's a squared, c squared, minus b squared, d squared, plus or minus. Well, I'm looking at this thing. The first thing I do is factor the 4 out. And I notice I got a difference of perfect squares, by the way. But factor 4 out, it's going to be a 2. And then I'm left off with, and I'll write this down for you. It's a difference of perfect squares, like a squared minus b squared. But I'm going to say a big A minus, so I'm going to write this over here as a squared c squared plus b squared d squared. I'll put a square symbol on it. And this is going to be minus a squared c squared minus b squared d squared squared. Difference of perfect squares. Let's keep writing it down. Again, my suspicion things are going to work out pretty nicely. So you get 2. You know what? I see the 2 canceling everywhere, so I'm going to get rid of that 2. And let's put that down again. So we get minus a squared c squared plus b squared d squared plus minus, let's write this down. So let me write the bottom down too. A squared c squared minus b squared d squared. All right, I'm going to factor that now. And the way I'm going to do that is just difference of perfect squares. So a squared c squared plus b squared d squared plus a squared c squared minus b squared d squared. Boy, it's a lot of writing. I don't know if I fit it in though. So you get a squared, I got to jam it in here, a squared c squared plus b squared d squared. Now I'm going to subtract away, minus a squared c squared, and minus a minus is plus, so plus b squared d squared. All right? Yeah, I jammed it in. Let's keep writing it. And what do you get? Let's write this down. Almost like bookkeeping. And what do you get there? For the first guy, you would get 2 a squared c squared. Right, that looks pretty good, by the way. Because the b squared, d squared disappears. You get 2 of those a squared, c squareds. On the second guy, what do I get? You know, I'm not very good in the penmanship department there, am I? It's a squared. So the a squared, c squared disappears, and then you get 2 b squared, a squared. Write this over here. 2 a squared, b squared. I'm sorry, it's a d squared. Really, penmanship looks awful. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm getting dizzy with the letters. I got to go back and erase. It's b squared, d squared. Okay? All over a squared, c squared, minus b squared, d squared. Let's keep moving. What's nice about that plus or minus in the root thing, we're right about absolute values. So I'm going to say, let's see, minus a squared, c squared, minus b squared, d squared, plus or minus. Well, that's a 4, so the root of that is 2. Then you get a, b, c, d. I put it in alphabetical order, by the way. What do you get in bottom? A squared, c squared, minus b squared, d squared. Well, at least things are sort of coming together. But now I got, like 2 things to work on. And, let me just take a look at this thing over here. And I think I did okay. And I'm looking at, I want to write the 2 things I'm seeing over here. But that, the minus sign kind of creeps me out a little bit. So I'm going to pull it out and cancel it off with the bottom. And let me write this over here. And there's 2 of them I'm looking at. So I'm going to write the bottom as b squared, d squared, minus a squared, c squared. And on top of what I'm seeing, I'll write this down for you. There's 2 different things I'm seeing, by the way. So I'm seeing like a squared, c squared, plus b squared, d squared. And by the way, it's still plus or minus 2 a, b, c, d. All right, let me see if I did that right. Basically what I'm doing is dividing top and bottom by minus 1. Yeah, I think I did okay. If you want to write it as minus plus, you can, by the way. But I'm still seeing 2 things now. Let me write this over here. So I'm seeing a squared, c squared, plus 2 A, B, C, D, plus B squared, D squared. And on bottom, I'm seeing B squared, D squared, minus A squared, C squared. I'm also seeing X equals A squared, C squared, minus 2AB, CD, plus B squared, D squared, over B squared, D squared, minus A squared, C squared. Wow, let's take a look at this now. Now on top here, I'm going to factor it. I'm also going to factor the bottom, by the way. And, you know, I'm expecting to see something pretty nice, by the way. So I'm going to say, looks like AC plus BD squared over BD plus AC BD minus AC. All right, let's do the other one. What's that going to be? X equals, well, it's going to be AC minus BD quantity squared. That's not so bad. And the bottom is going to be BD minus AC, and that's going to be BD plus AC. And I'm still looking around for things to do, and I kind of see something over here. I see, like, you know, BD, AC, the factor on top and bottom. One of them is going to cancel off, by the way. So I'm left off with AC plus BD over BD minus AC. All right, that one's done. Let's do the next one. Now, this one's a little tricky. I'm looking at it, and I'm going to factor a minus 1 out from the bottom. And if I did that, like a factor of minus 1 out from this one, I get minus 1 times AC minus BD. All right, so I'm going to put minus sign here, and one of those factors also cancel off. You're left off with AC minus BD over BD plus AC. Hope I didn't copy anything wrong, by the way. All right, so I just want to look at this for a second and see if there's something else I want to do with it. And someone says, what do you mean by that? I want to get rid of that leading minus sign there. So let me write this over here. I'm going to write down what I'm looking at over here. Now I'm looking at AC plus BD over BD minus AC. That doesn't disturb me too much, by the way. AC plus BD, BD minus AC. The other guy, I'm going to take this minus sign and bring it on the inside over here. And what would be left off with? BD minus AC. And on bottom you get BD plus AC. Kind of remarkable, by the way. All right? That's my final answer, by the way. Thank you.